This episode is sponsored by Wacom, Wacom.com.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Face the Truth. It's going to be a cool one, man. I'm really excited about this one. Been a really crazy day, though. I just finished a crazy illustration for Pop TV. The same people I did paintings for Schitt's Creek for. Doing some work for a show called Hot Date. And they had me illustrate the main characters as like romantic novel type characters. Real fun, kind of an interesting illustration job, but nonetheless, it was a lot of detail, a lot of work, and I only had a week to do it. And at the same time, I'm supposed to be finishing 3 paintings for Mad Magazine that we're supposed to be due on Monday, but they're giving me a couple extra days, so it's going to be a very busy weekend. But anyways, I literally just sent the final artwork. It took like 2 hours to send because it's like 30 by 36 inches digital, file. So it's a huge file. I just literally finished. So it's been a rush, and now I'm talking to this awesome dude. So this guy is really cool, man. He does so many things. I hope to get into a lot of it, but I first saw his stuff like years ago doing impressions. He's amazing at impressions. Does a lot of vocals for animations and stand-up comedy, which I'm really into. So that's a really cool thing too. I want to talk to him about that. But also, I know him from he's got his dad's an amazing stand-up comedian too. So I didn't actually realize that they were related until like about a year or so ago. I think I saw you guys are on Joe Rogan or something like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I didn't even think about it, but so that's amazing. Anyways, it's gonna be cool hearing what this guy's up to. So everyone, please welcome JD Witherspoon.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
Good, man. You got that good voice, man. No wonder you get all these awesome voice jobs.
I got lucky.
Yeah, man. You've got that. You could do anything. You could do the radio. I'm sure you've got.
I mean, when I was a kid, everyone, or not even a kid, when I was like a teenager growing into my voice, I remember people telling me, they were like, "Hey, you got a nice voice for radio," and I was like, "Yeah, you got a radio job I can have?" And they were like, "No, I don't have. I have none of that. I have no idea how to get into radio." I'm like, "All right, well then, don't suggest a career opportunity you can't help me with." So,
well, instead, you just come up with your own, man.
Yeah.
And that's basically kind of what you've done with your YouTube. It's just insane. I mean,
yeah,
you're like, it's funny too.
I lost you. You still there? Hello.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hello, everybody. I apologize for the apparent computer problems, the technical difficulties, if you will. It's very awkward and unprofessional, and I send my regard to all of you people out there who are upset by this sort of thing. But I promise you this. There will be no more interruptions, and the rest of the podcast will be professional and to your standards. Now back to the program.
So, sorry about that computer crash, but we're back. So, good thing we were only like a minute into it. And
yeah, that was lucky.
Yeah. So, anyways, you keep yourself very busy with it seems like everything. I mean, everything from I was just about to tell you, like I saw this hilarious video of you showing your dad virtual. Like VR, like with a shark swimming around. It's like one of the funniest things in the world. Then I mean, from that to like recently, I saw you post a thing about some new shoes, which it's just funny because everything that I've seen you do, even though like something like that, it's like you have an ability to make it entertaining. Like I was actually thinking of spoofing it with you and just pulling out a pair of shoes that I duct taped. But yeah, that's pretty awesome, man. Well, so having technical problems right away off the bat, but that's okay. It's real life. It happens. Anyways, it seems like there's still a slight delay, but I don't really care. It's fine.
Sync it up. You got to do the 1, 2, 3. You got to do the claps. That's what I do. If it's off a little bit, you got to sync it up with the claps.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go.
There you go.
But yeah, it's interesting though, just seeing like all the different kinds of things that you're up to, artistically and creatively. And I was just wondering, like, just right off the bat, I mean, obviously, as I mentioned before, you grew up with a father who's a stand-up comedian, so I'm sure you were just around a lot of interesting characters and different things growing up with that, interesting experiences. But I'm curious for you personally, where you started just dabbling in your own creative, interests, whether it be impressions, comedy and that sort of a thing.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was always just super outgoing, I guess you would say. And I would always sit back and try to, like, I don't know, be a class. I mean, everyone says the whole class clown thing, but I was kind of just like, I was always like a dude who just would wait in between conversations for when a funny line could be dropped. And I still do that nowadays, but that's the type of stuff that I was doing growing up. But I mean, as an outlet specifically, like, I didn't want to do entertainment at all as a child. That was not something I aspired to do. I remember my dad was on TV and he actually, I think, got me a job to be on the Wayans Brothers one time. And I was like 6 years old and I was like, no, I'm scared. I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. But no, when I was a kid, ironically, I was into art and whatnot, similar to you. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I definitely have like at least 20 art books and like all my I don't know, like figurative drawings that I used to do back when I was taking it in college. But yeah, that's what I wanted to be when I was a kid. I wanted to be an artist. And then I think halfway through like my first or second year of college, I just had no idea how to turn that into a career. And I was like, oh, well, that's weird. I don't know what to do with this. I was like, I know how to do it, but I don't know how to sell it. And also, this is like 2007, 8, and 9. I don't even think Instagram was really like a thing. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't as prominent. And you couldn't just like put your resume up on your Instagram page and people could find you like that. So yeah, then I just randomly got into wanting to act because a friend of mine was like, well, you're always wasting time making us laugh in class. Why don't you just go, I don't know, be an actor or something? And I was like, an actor. I was like, I guess I could do that. But those are some of my earlier like outlets of expressiveness. Like I remember art was one of them. Video games, always loved playing video games. I was into sports as a kid, but I was never good at them. I was so bad. And I'm probably not that much better now, but I mean, I'm semi decent at this point. But yeah, I remember like growing up playing baseball. I did not learn how to play basketball until like the middle of high school, and I also grew up like learning like tennis and all that stuff. So I was able to express myself creatively, so it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So you were always sort of a class clown, sort of deal.
Kinda. I mean, it was like a mixture of like a class clown and just like the way I had like I think I had like an outlook of just like when things got real serious, I would always be the one where it's like, all right, everybody, come on, calm down. It's not that deep. We should just like relax, have more fun. Okay. So that would be the way I looked at life, I assume.
That's interesting. Yeah, I was sort of the class clown as well. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I've always had that thing where I just get a little bit high off making somebody laugh, just that little buzz you get. Mm-hmm. And my problem with it though is I always was inappropriate. Like anytime I could embarrass my mom, do something that I knew that she was going to be like, Jason, that was like the best, that was and it's still kind of to this day, a little bit of my sense of humor. So, yeah, I don't know. Like I've actually been toying with the idea, not toying. I've been working on stand-up stuff for about 3 months now, just material, and I haven't gone to open mics yet. It's one of the things I really want to do. Chicago's a great town for it, but I haven't. I've spent a really busy summer. And it's not like something I want to do as a career. It's just something that I've always wanted to do. And if I don't do it, I'm just going to get pissed at myself.
Yeah.
And so I've been working on a lot of stuff, and it's just interesting now that I have just the, it's exciting and fun, even though I haven't gone up in front of the crowd yet. Just working on material and rewriting it and replaying it, and just kind of testing it with friends and just whatever. I've realized how difficult stand-up is. You know what I mean? As far as just the material, because I know that, from everything I know about that, everyone usually eats a big bag of dicks the first like 20 times or whatever it's going to be. So I'm prepared for that. And I think that's part of the fun of that experience. But I was wondering about your process with that. I mean, because obviously your dad is well known for his stand-up, and you grew up around it. When you started getting into it, was it very natural for you, or was it one of those things where did you have tons of bombing experiences? And I mean,
I want to say, it's funny. I want to say the first time I ever did it, I want to say I actually did well. I just got lucky. I only needed to do 3 minutes. I mean, I didn't get lucky. It's one of those things where I'm not afraid of the stage. If anything, I'm more afraid of writing than I am afraid of performing. Like getting on the stage, that's the easy part in my opinion. The hard part is having material and having a certain length of material. That's and even still, I feel like I definitely don't have an hour yet, or even like a clean 30. Like I have like a solid 15 to 20 minutes of material that I would perform and not be concerned about, do I have enough material till I get to the end, or am I overdoing it? But like when I first started, I remember I started here in LA at the Laugh Factory, and I went to an open mic, and they put me up last on the open mic, so I had the privilege of being able to perform for the people who were coming in for the next show. So there were a lot of people who were being sat for the 8 o'clock show, and I was the last person on the 7 o'clock mic. So by the time they all got in there, it was like 45 people or 50. And I had like 3 jokes. I don't remember them that well or at all. I think I had like probably one about being like a black vegetarian and how that doesn't work. I don't know. It was stupid, but I was just like, that's not real. But it was like 3 minutes, clean material, because that's what they ask you to do at that club. And it went all right. But I mean, then I started getting into it, and I definitely like bombed plenty of times. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't see it as bombing if I'm just trying to get better. I see it as bombing if you're at a show and you're here to perform, and then it's like, oh, you're not getting a good response. But yeah, for open mics, I personally don't feel like you can. I mean, yeah, in my opinion, you can't bomb at an open mic, because an open mic is just practice. Like it's like you don't hear LeBron and them. That's how I see it. It's like you don't see like basketball players saying like, oh man, I didn't put enough points up in practice. It's like nobody's watching you practice. Nobody cares. Like, yeah, this is for you to get better, and you should just know what you're capable of. And if some of the jokes, and also it's really hard to gauge your material at an open mic, because it's just a bunch of other comics sitting in the room listening to you. They just want to get on stage just as much as you. And not that you can't get laughs. Like, if anything, if you get laughs in the room with the comics, then you're probably just that much better, because you're like, oh, my material, is going. It probably works for an audience, and some of these comedians think it's funny, so that also helps. But I mean, I definitely like had gone to some other mics, and I guess quote unquote like it's one of those things where once you start hearing your jokes work with real crowds, that like you're not necessarily bombing. Because if I go do a set that I've done 100 times just to like maybe run through it again because I need to hear it in my head, or I need to just say it out loud, but I go and do it at a mic, because I did that this week. I had a show at the Comedy Store here in Los Angeles, and I went to an open mic right before it. And I just only had 5 minutes to run through my material. So I just was like, all right, first joke. I was doing it. And like, the open micers are just listening to me. I'm just trying to run my set, but I know the jokes already get laughs. So I was like, okay, these are the jokes I'm going to use. The open micers hardly responded. They were like, funny, They don't, because it's whatever to them.
Yeah.
But then when I went to do my show, and like an hour later, I did my jokes. I did them with the proper amount of like timing and all that stuff, and they hit just like they usually do. But it takes a while to figure out which ones do well and which ones don't. But I think, in my opinion, at the end of the day, as a comic, if you think it's funny, then it probably is funny. Like, you don't necessarily need, and I think that's the one thing I personally don't love about not just comedy, but entertainment in general. Like when I come across people who need validation for their like material, or if they're writing a skit, or if they're trying to come up with an internet video idea and they just are like too indecisive, I'm like, well, if you don't think it's funny, then it's probably whack. Like, there's no reason.
That's a good point.
Don't even ask me, man. Because I remember that being a thing back in the day of when Vine was really popular. And I used to do Vines with like a bunch of my friends who are now like super famous internet people and whatnot. And I remember the indecisiveness of that, because none of these people were like comedians and none of them had like funny bones. They were just kind of like putting things together. So they would always ask each other, like, do you think this is good? Does this make sense? Is this that? I'm like, dude, if you like it, post the shit. It don't matter. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know? And if you don't know if it makes sense, then it probably doesn't, or whatever. So I don't know, but that's how I see it. But I mean, I've definitely bombed. I've bombed a few times doing stand up. I remember I bombed at a show out here in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Improv. And it threw me. It was my own fault because I had been hosting a lot of comedy shows. So there's a difference between like performing as a stand-up and performing as a host. So like I had a show going on at the Laugh Factory for however many weeks, and I was so used to crowd work, engaging with the crowd, getting into conversations, this and that, throwing out riffs and all this stuff. And then I went and got on a book show that my friend was hosting. It's my buddy D. Ray Davis. He has a show at the Hollywood Improv called Monday Rays. And I went in there and he gave me 5 minutes, and I think I was in host mode. So instead of going directly into my material, which I recommend to everybody, if you're on a book show, just focus on your material, unless you're, or at least start with your material. And then if you want to like riff or maybe jump into crowd work in the middle, sure. But don't just, when the show's already like, because these people are just here to laugh at this point. They're not here to listen to your ideas or your thoughts or your premises. They're here to just, do the beats, set up punchline, set up punchline, set up punchline, get off stage. So I forgot what I said or what I did, but I riffed. And mind you, this is like a black crowd. This was like a black comedy show. So, I remember what I said. I did a bit where I said something in a positive light about Trump, and they were not about it.
Oh my God.
I said, and it wasn't a bad thing. I said something like, it was the year that the Warriors did really well in basketball. And I said, hey, man, Trump had just gotten elected. And I said, hey, everybody. I was like, well, about Trump, what if he does all right? What if he goes like 73-9 like the Warriors? I said something like that, which the comedians in the back were like, hey, it's decent premise, man. And then they were just like, wrong room. But I did that, and like, it wasn't like I got booed or anything. It was just immediately the audience just tuned me out, and they all just like, they started to like talk amongst themselves, and I was like, oh, this is weird. I've never had this happen. Or maybe I have had something like this happen, but I usually am used to like silence on a joke, not like, okay, not funny, and then everyone turned to their friends. So that was, but it was, what the worst part about it was like I was booked to feature that weekend at another club. So I was like in my head all week before those shows, which I had like, I think I had like 5 shows at another improv club out here. I think it was in Ontario or something, Ontario Mills. But I just remember when I got there, I was like, all right, no problem. Just going to start with my first joke, first, second, third, fourth, sixth, whatever, and then end, because that threw me through a loop. But I mean, it happens, you bombed, it's one of those things where I think the worst part about that bomb was I had been doing so well so consistently prior to
Yeah.
that I was like, you forget, like, oh, bombing, this is also a part of it. You forget that can still happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was hey, good, build some character. It was good.
Well, that's really interesting to hear that perspective of it. And it's actually makes a lot. I never thought of it that way. Like I said, I keep looking at my schedule and looking up Chicago shows, like all the different places that you can go for open mic. And I'm gonna start jumping into it soon. So that really made a lot of sense. You're doing this to get better. You're doing it, because I mean, for me, again, like I have no grand illusions of becoming this awesome stand-up comedian. I just have such a love for it, and I just keep. I'm one of those guys that, like, I think of something in my head, I just start writing it down, and I just start working out little bits to myself. But I kind of relate and feel a little bit encouraged, actually, just by what you just said. Just like, if you think it's funny, it's probably funny. But then again, I play around a little bit with. I have a almost 60-year-old daughter, and one of the best things is just out of nowhere, just randomly saying some crazy idea that I've written down, just start talking, she's like, "Are you doing a stand-up bit to me?" And her whole thing is it's never funny, Dad. You're never, you know what I mean? But I think it's that whole dad joke thing. Like, the worse I can make it for her, the better. But yeah, that's really interesting. Hearing that perspective too, just like, you're I never thought of it that way. Just, standing up in front of a bunch of comics, it makes a lot more sense. You're just trying to work on the bits, but yeah, that's cool. So, I mean, the thing is it seems like, from I got what you said, is you seem like less of a, like, writing down material, more of just like thinking about it. You get up there and just start going, or do you actually write down stuff and kind of go over it in your head, or like, what's that process like?
No, I definitely write. It's one of those things where I write my ideas down and manifest the beats of my jokes, and then I get on stage and say them the way I think they're supposed to sound. And then over time they will either change or flip a little bit. And I have, like, where's my phone? In my phone, I have, like, I've got like a notes tab in my phone just called jokes, right? And those are the ones that are like, I mean, if I wanted to do an hour special on premises, I could do it. I have just, like, so many friggin' jokes that are, like, written in here. But in the jokes thing, not a lot of them are constructed or fleshed out or finished. So the ones that I sit back and I'm like, oh no, that's really funny, I should take my time and write it down. I have a notebook where I sit back and I write my jokes down through different beats. I put as my first, like, my log, I guess you would call it, like, my log line. I always put premise, which is, what is the joke? What's the idea behind it? And then I say something like, oh, went to the supermarket. This is a joke that I wrote that I never got around to, but it was like, went to the supermarket, was shopping, and a homeless dude who was there not buying anything laughed at me because of the clothes I was wearing. And that was, like, something that just happened in real life. And I'm like, all right, well, that was just funny, because I'm like, why is this homeless dude laughing at me like I'm the homeless guy? So, and but then I'll take that and I'll take, like, the premise, and it's like, homeless dude laughed at you, what's funny about it? And then I go and start with, like, the setup, and then I'll write, like, a paragraph about, like, how it all happened, the exposition, and, like, it's like why it's funny, and then the punchline where it's like, all right, how do we get out at the end of the joke with, like, either a big laugh or just something that makes people think.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
awesome.
that's I mean, that it's very, I'm kind of OCD, so it's very particular. Like, sometimes I don't follow my format at all. I just write it that way just for myself, and then however I put it together on stage is, like, how I put it together. But as long as I have some sort of, like, blueprint to it, that always helps me out.
Yeah.
So that's usually my process for it. I mean, I've heard from, like, huge comedians that they don't write anything, and I'm like, that's crazy. I just don't. Yeah. I'm like, how do you just remember an hour's worth of stuff? To me, that's hard. So
yeah, that's what I was curious about, because I've heard that as well, where, they, like, certain comedians just have an idea, they thought something's funny when they just get up on stage and just start talking about it, Yeah. And for me, like, I noticed, like, just writing stuff Like I kind of do the same thing a little bit. Like I've been writing down things, and then I'll go for a walk with my dog and just start saying things, and it comes out more natural. And I realize, oh man, I should say it this way, and then I go back and rewrite it again. It's most of what I've been working on too, and I'm sure this is probably what you do as well. But it's just like the whole idea of just write what you know. Because I originally when I was getting into the idea of doing this, I just started like, how do you come up with a joke? And then what ended up happening is just I just started noticing how funny everything is. Everything's funny everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
And like last Friday, I had a colonoscopy, which was a lot of fun. And the entire process, I was just thinking about so many things. And even when I was in I don't know if you've ever had to go through that or not, but basically you don't eat for like 36 hours. And then the day of, you just in the morning you have to like drink this nasty stuff again, and then you spend all day in the shitter. And then when you get there, you can't have any water or anything all day, so you're thirsty, you're hungry, you're tired. And then they put you under, basically. They give you this they call it the Twilight. It's basically like a date rape drug. But it's this thing they call it Twilight, and they say you won't remember a thing, right? I mean, I fucking woke up in the middle of the procedure. I woke up, guy ramming me in the ass, and I hear the doctor talking. I hear him like joking, and I hear the nurses laugh. I open my eyes, I look over, and I see the screen. I can see inside me, and I'm just looking, and I can feel him like moving around inside me. And then I hear a nurse go, "He's awake!" And then that's the last thing I remember. I wake up in another room, my butt's all sore and stuff, and I'm like, and right away, the first thing I thought of was, I'm 41. I've never been pegged, but I think it just happened. You know what I mean? I start like trying to tell this sort of a rough idea of a joke to the nurse as I'm coming to. And all I know is she says, "Try to rest." So I don't even know what. I was probably just like,
Was it one of those sleeps where like eyes were open but you couldn't move, like that whole what's that called, sleep paralysis thing?
I don't remember trying to move. I was on my side holding a pillow, and I just remember waking up and like I could feel it inside me.
Oh,
and
geez.
I'm like looking around, and it's just funny because they said you won't remember a thing, don't worry, and I just remember waking up being like, God damn,
the most traumatic shit ever. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. That's funny though. That's super funny. I love he's away. like as if the alarm's going off or something.
Yeah. It was such an interesting thing, and the thing is now I'm wondering if I have like a high tolerance for anesthesia, because because a few years ago I had a reversal. Basically my previous marriage, I got a vasectomy. Years later, I ended up getting remarried, and my wife wanted to have a baby, so I was like, oh man. So I did the snip snap back and forth thing. But when I went in to get the reversal, they just do local anesthetics. They're giving you shots right in the balls. And I felt the whole thing. I could feel the whole surgery.
Oh, God.
It took 2.5 hours. I was laying there, and every few minutes they'd have to give me another shot because all of a sudden I would feel it again. So it makes me wonder if that stuff, like next time something happens, just give it all to me, like right away. I don't want to wake up in the middle of my butt being jammed ever again.
Have you written this stuff down?
A little bit, yeah. Started writing it down.
That's what but my thing is you have that whole story, right? If I ever have anything that thorough happen, I literally write it down word for word the way it happened. And then sit back and like circle the funny sentences or the funny lines or funny things that happened in it. And then you can take that and structure a joke from it. Because that's hilarious. That sounds like a horror story, but it's fun. But it's like it's funny because you had to go through it, and then they had to switch on the snips. Oh, that does not sound fun at all.
Oh,
but from an audience perspective, I would be freaking dying laughing if I was hearing that. and or looking at my significant other like, I'm never letting that happen to me. Like, I'm sure that's so funny.
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
like the whole thing, like, and this is all stuff I've been writing down, but the whole thing, this whole particular subject is just fucked up in general because, like, literally, I had been married for 14 years, and it was not the best, but I was trying really hard because I have 2 daughters, so I was like trying to make it work. My ex begging me to get a vasectomy, and I didn't want one. It took 4 years. Finally, I was like, I'll do it finally. So I went and got it done. Literally a month later, my marriage was over.
Oh my God.
Like right after that. So it's a very ironic thing. And I tend to try to find the humor in it. And it is kind of funny, there's a lot of funny things that come from it. But it all worked out in the end,
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, like, I find myself in situations now where I'm constantly, it's the same thing with my art. Like every single thing I look at and I see, I think about how would I draw that? How would I paint that? What colors would I use to try to get that to feel right, the temperature and that sort of thing. Excuse me. But now I've been doing it with just everywhere I go, I got an idea and I just go try to write it down real quick. And, but yeah, it's really cool to cause you're actually, the real thing and do it. So it's cool to hear your perspective.
I'm all right. I'm one of those guys where I don't give myself enough credit with half the stuff I do. Like, I feel like I'm stand-up comedy wise. I mean, I got a show tonight, so I mean, I'm gonna have to do it. But I think it's one of those things where I started it back in 2011, maybe 2000. It was like 2011, 2012, maybe 2010. But the first few years, I didn't take it as seriously then as I do the last like 3. Yeah. So the first few years, especially if you're not in love with it, which I was like on the fence. I was like, I just didn't see how. Same with like, same kind of like when I was in college and I didn't understand how art could turn into a career. I was like, I don't understand how you turn stand-up into a career. I was like, but regardless of that, that's not why I should have been doing it in the first place. I was just like, if I like it, I should just do it. Yeah. But I was sitting there and I was telling myself, I would go to open mics all the time. And then eventually I started getting booked on shows like the second year that I was doing it, or maybe like however many months down the first year. And then I started to get lazy where I would only go and do shows. So that would mean that, I mean, like if I could do shows all the time, then I could have got better. But that's like, you when you're like a pro, you can, or if you just have connections like that, you can start getting up all the time. But I was only able to get up and do like real shows for audiences like every other like week or once a month. So I wouldn't practice in between the first month and like the first month show and then the last month show. I would just sit back and let all that time go by. And then every time a new show would arise or someone would give me an opportunity, I'd be like hesitant, but I'd be like, no, you got this. You could do it. But I wouldn't have anything new to bring to the table. I would just be doing the same stuff over and over. And my jokes felt real surface level. And they kind of felt hacky to me just because I was like, you can't keep doing these same ideas forever. It's not gonna, like, you can't grow that way. So then I think the like last 3 or 4 years, I was like, all right, I'm gonna just like try to get up as often as I can. I'm gonna try like to ask friends if I can get on shows. I was like, I gotta go back to open mics now and stop playing around. Because the thing is, I just took I didn't think I was better than open mics. I was just kind of like, I'm funny. And every time I go on stage, it always ends up going positive. So I was like, I don't have to work hard at this not even to get good. I just kind of just brushed it off. Like my thing with my thing with my whole career is if one thing is outweighing the other, I usually pick the one that's more beneficial to me. So like at the time when I was starting stand up, I was doing internet stuff and acting, and that stuff was benefiting me more. So I was putting more effort into posting online all the time. Or if I ever had auditions for big projects, I'm like, I'm focused on this. Like stand up wasn't doing anything for me. It wasn't helping me pay my bills. It wasn't doing any of that. And I didn't love it that much anyway. I just liked doing it every so often. But now in the last like few years, and specifically this year, I just told myself like, hey man, if you can get up every night, do it. And this year in particular, I've been doing that. Like the last 2.5, 3 years, I've been doing a lot more shows. And if people ask me to do a show or somebody asks me to feature or host for them, I'll say yes. But this past year, I specifically started, like, I think since December, I have like another notes tab in my phone where it shows every day that I've gone and hit clubs this year. So, and on days where I don't, I just will sit back and be like, I didn't do any stand up. So it's like, every other day is like, it's like went here. And even if I don't get on stage, if I just go to a club, I just write like Comedy Store, networking, Laugh Factory, networking, this and that, networking. So at least I'm around comedy all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, and it's so funny because like I only started doing that in December, and from December to now, I'm like way better. But that's just how it is. Like when you put time into anything that you really want to be good at,
for sure,
and consistency, you just happen to get better. And I've had friends who, like, back when I first started, they first started too. But they actually grinded it out with stand up, and like I would take breaks and they'd be like, "Where are you at, man? We miss you, blah blah blah." I would always have one or two of my friends say, "Just imagine if you would do what you're doing now all the time. You would be a beast in like 6 months." And I'm like, "True, but blah blah blah." And I would always make up an excuse. And this year I just told myself like, no, because I think it's one of those things where in the last 2 or 3 years, I've actually kind of fallen in love with stand-up, where it's the one thing that I personally do that I control 100% of, and that's probably the same with you and art. It's one of those things where I don't have to talk to my agent about it. I don't have to talk to my manager about it. I don't have to split any percentages on me getting on stage just being a goofball. I don't have to talk to a producer because I was working on this show this past year and last year, this Facebook show that I was doing, which was like I was a trivia host, which was cool, but it was like there were so many rules and regulations, and I didn't love the construct of it. And that's the one thing about Hollywood that most people don't know. It's like people think like once you get a great job, you just like this is it, you did it, you're happy, everything's cool. And it's like, no, there's still like issues at the top. Like it doesn't matter. Even if it's a job that's like paying off like 3 mortgages, like there's still rules you have to be a part of and you have to abide by. But stand up is the one thing that I'm like, I go up there, I wrote the jokes, I get to express myself, and then I get the response of people either liking it or not liking it. And most of the time, if I know that I'm getting better and I'm doing well, they're gonna like it. And I just have fun with that. And then if you get paid, it's a bonus. You know what I mean? So when I get booked on shows, where I'm, if I ever do the road, because that's where you usually get paid. You don't get paid for like one night spots in Hollywood. That's the one thing that people don't understand probably here, and I believe in New York. It's one of those things where like these clubs are meant for you to like, you come and you mingle and you network and you get better, and hopefully you eventually become a regular at these clubs and you can get on as many shows as you want in the future. But till then, you're kind of just like, it's just practice and getting to know the people in your circles, and hopefully making friends with people who either see you as as a positive part of the community and want to help bring you up, like a Joe Rogan or something, or or you're just sitting back and getting better for when your opportunity comes. That's the one thing, because people don't realize you got to be ready when someone does bring that opportunity. Because if you are working at something, you don't want to be the person who half-assed their way into a job and then you get there and it's like, wait, why did we hire this guy? They're not even that good.
Okay, so that brings me to something that I wasn't going to talk about, but now I have to. So do you know the comedian Steve Byrne?
I do. Steve Byrne. He's like Asian and white, right? Yeah, I know him.
He's that Asian white guy.
Yeah, I've seen him once or twice in person, and I think I follow him on Instagram.
Okay, so the reason I bring this up is this. Okay, I had him on. He recently did a documentary called The Amazing Jonathan, and I had him on the podcast maybe a month or two ago. And he's an awesome guy, really funny. And we were talking, of course, about comedy and everything. And I was telling him how I just went to a Kill Tony show in Chicago. And I'm sure you're familiar with how that works, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had prepared a minute for that, and I had two of the guys from that show on my podcast before as well. So I was like, you know what, I got to go to the show, and I got to write a minute, right? So, and I wrote a minute. I was pretty happy with it. I'm like, I think it's pretty funny. I didn't get called, and I was talking and I was talking to Steve Byrne about the whole situation, about how, like, man, just the process though of me trying to work on that. I started realizing, how much harder this whole thing is than I realized. And I also realized, wow, this is nerve-wracking, because the entire time I'm sitting at Kill Tony, I wasn't enjoying it, because I was just thinking about my minute the entire time, and I had a knot in my stomach, and I'm just like, are they going to call me next? You know what I mean? And I never got called, and the show was over, and I'm like, oh man. And then I was like, now I have the bug, because now I've gotten into the writing process. Now I'm writing, and I started realizing that, man, writing 1 minute is really difficult, because most of my stuff relies around a story where I want to build it up a little bit, and then I have a few punches in there and everything. So to condense it to a minute, I felt like I was kind of sucking some of the stuff out of it, and I didn't, you know what I mean? It made it way harder for me from never doing stand-up before to just try to write 1 minute, Mm-hmm. But I learned a lot from it. So I'm explaining this to Steve Byrne and stuff, and he just goes, "Hey, I'm doing a show in Chicago, December. I want you to open for me. Do 5 minutes." And I'm like, "What?" And I was like, "Dude, I've never done it before." And he's like, "Well," he goes, "I would suggest you do some open mics. Do a handful of open mics, and but I would like you to do 5 minutes for me in December." And I'm like, and I'm that kind of person that won't back down. Like, so I'm like, all right, dude, I'll fucking do 5 minutes. I have a lot of material that I have to test out and stuff. So that's why now I'm like, man, I got to start getting to the open mics. But here's the thing. Here's what's bothering me about this is he said it twice. And at the very end of my podcast, he's like, I can't wait to share the stage with you, Jace. It's going to be awesome. And I'm like, dude, are you serious? Because here's the thing I'm thinking about. Like, I've never done it before. Are you trying to fucking humiliate me in front of a whole crowd to teach me a lesson or something? Or are you serious? Or like, look, this is strange. There's all these comics in Chicago who would die for 5 minutes to open up for you. So why are you giving it to me? Is this for real? And here's the other thing. I haven't heard from him since. And so I'm like I've, he also said that he's interested in me doing some artwork for his next hour, which would be amazing. I'd love to do that. But I haven't heard back from him on anything, and I'm like, is this dude like serious, or is he full of shit?
He probably was serious, and he's probably just putting you. He's probably he just probably keeps hearing you talk about comedy. He's like, all right, well, he's not trying. I don't think he's trying to put you in your place. He's probably just trying to start you in it so you can stopping yourself from not doing it.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. I feel like if you don't go,
I like that sound.
I'm just saying, I very much think, you definitely let's hit some mics this weekend, baby. Don't wait any longer. You don't want December to roll around and he hits you up the first, like, hey, you ready? You don't want that to happen. No. I would just go out and do it, and like, even if you bomb, who cares? It's just like he's giving you the opportunity to get up in front of a crowd and do it, and then you can see how either nerve-wracking you think it is, or how you're like, oh, that's not that bad. That's not that. It's not that as crazy as I thought it was. Because like, I'm trying to think. I never even really thought about this. Like, I've done rooms in LA, but I've done rooms that are like 400 to 500 people. I never really thought about the size of the rooms, but I've done them and I've gotten laughs. And I think it's one of those things where like, I'm different. I'm very much like, and I tell this to people, I'm like an introvert who just works in an extrovert field. I'm usually to myself. I'm very secluded. My wife would tell you. I kind of just, I go out and I do things, and I'm a cordial, but the work that I do requires me to be out there and open and, like not scared of shit. And I just, for some reason, I don't know why, I've never been scared. I get butterflies. Like everyone gets butterflies. I get butterflies before I do open mics sometimes. But when I'm on stage and then I start going into it, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I know who's at the wheel. It's not that deep. And it's one of those things where I'm like, if this joke worked for a room of 10 people, it's going to work for a room of 500 to 1,000 people. I haven't done 1,000-person room yet, but hey, I'm sure it would work. But you know, I think it's just one of those types of things where if you know, because I know a lot of people who tell me that like being on stage is the hard part for them. I'm like that shit. I could be on stage and just bullshit for like however long. Yeah. My gripe is, or has been ever since I started comedy, was writing, because not because I can't write, more because it's like hard, in my opinion, it's hard to flush out jokes. And it's hard to develop stage time. Like, because when you first start, 1 minute sounds like 2 hours. And then 3 minutes sounds like 4 hours. And then 5 sounds crazy. But the thing is, once you start getting it going and you just keep maneuvering into, oh, this is a funny joke. Oh, this is a funny bit. You forget how long it takes to tell each one. Next thing you know, you're sitting back with 5 jokes that could be 20 minutes of material. So it throws you, like, because I remember I did one show where I hardly even I did like a few of my jokes, but then I did a little bit of riffing and I did a little bit of crowd work, and I was like looping in and out of my jokes, and I ended up doing like 24 minutes. I'm like, oh shit, that's almost a 30-minute special. But it's like, still, it wasn't like piece by piece by piece all my material, but it still was a genuine set regardless, you know, because some of my jokes led to me talking to the audience about how they like their perception of the joke and this and that. So I think it's just one of those things where it's not like, and especially just whenever I listen to comedians on podcasts, like they all have the same story of, I had no material when I first started. Like that's all I ever hear. Everyone says that they just took jobs to do sets that they knew they didn't have material to, just to see if they could, just to get through it, because they either needed to get paid or they wanted to get paid, or they were just like, well, what am I going to do? Say no? Because every time I hear that, I'm like, wait, you guys didn't have material either? like as if I'm surprised. I'm like, I thought everybody's just so goddamn good when they start, but it's just not. It's just not the case. Like it's like, it's
interesting. Like I find myself in this very baby stage I'm in, is a lot of stuff I start writing. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. Am I just gonna piss people off, or is this, you know, because I got a bunch of religious shit. I've got, you know, like just funny ideas I thought of because I was raised like super hardcore religious, and so I got an opinion about that. Let's just put it that way. Mm-hmm. And then so you know, I've got a bunch of that stuff, but I'm like, people don't want to hear a bunch of Bible shit. You know what I mean? I start like second guessing all my ideas. And I've been doing that, but it's interesting just to hear your perspective, that you have like some, you know, it makes me feel a little bit more like, hey, all right, because I get that, you know, what you're saying, like you better get up to the mics, because that's one thing that I've been thinking about is, man, like you're right, December's going to be really quick, and for me personally, I've done a lot of stage stuff, so I'm comfortable on stage. I've done a lot of like, you know, workshops and things where I have to get in front of people. And the biggest thing I ever did was I did the Adobe Max conference in LA, and I had to go in front of 8,000 people and talk for 20 minutes, but it was talking about my artwork. So it was like, you know, I know that, right? So, and I actually got a couple laughs because I was super scared and nervous. So I started just saying, you know, like accidentally saying funny things because I was freaking out. But I feel the same way, that it's more about I would say like the art of the writing process and making sure that the material is good. Because I feel personally like if the material is solid, if I know it's solid, then all I have to do is rely on the performance part of it. And that's, I mean, so far it's what my thinking is, but like I said, I haven't done it yet. So that's the thing. I gotta get up there.
Just gotta do it.
And just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's cool to hear. It's cool to hear your side of it all, because it makes, you're like making way more sense to me than anybody I've talked to about this so far, really.
I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't consider myself a pro comic. Like, I mean, I sometimes I don't even, I used to tell myself like, well, you don't do stand up all the time, so how are you a comedian?
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, but you'll hear from like other comics who are seasoned. They're like, no, if you ever got on stage and you've ever done it, and if you continue to do it, you're a comic. And I'm like, okay, So cool. I got to just let that settle in, take that, take that mantle and all that stuff. And, the way you just said that, you're a little different. You said as long as the material's good. I sit back and say, hey, man, if the material shit, at least you're good at crowd work. Like, because I know a lot of comics who aren't good at crowd work, but I don't want to say I'm very good, but I'm fairly decent at making laughs come out of nowhere. Yeah. Like from like little nuances, from even my jokes. Like I did a show last night and I told a new joke, and I'm glad I recorded it, but it was one of those things where I added a tagline while I was just sitting there talking, and like it got a bigger laugh than the joke itself. And I'm like, okay, well that's funny. And even sometimes I can read. Also, that's a thing. You were talking about religious stuff. I would just say, depending on the material, you just got to read the room and think about where you are, because like if I don't have any jokes about Trump or really politics or anything like that, but if I was in like a state where I know it's very right or left, I probably would, either lean to their side or just not do it at all. I probably wouldn't lean to their side because I wouldn't just pick based upon the room. But yeah, I mean, there's that. And then, I just know that sometimes, like with crowd work, some of the funniest stuff happens, for me at least. I know a lot of people don't like getting into the crowd work stuff because maybe they're not as quick, they're not as like off the cuff, like witty like that. But I feel like I'm fairly decent at it, I want to say. And like someone else who I see do it all the time is like Andrew Schultz, who was on Rogan's podcast, who does all that stuff and has like built his whole fan base up. Because I noticed specifically from his Instagram, I know that he like has started posting more crowd work material, and it's not necessarily material, but it's like a place where if you take that stuff where you're engaging with the audience, you can save your material for when you do a special. That way you don't have to post your jokes online, because you're kind of just making fun of the stuff that's in the moment. And if you're good enough to just, off a whim, call somebody something funny, say something funny about how they act or look or are acting at the club or the event, it could be really beneficial. I don't think it's something to rely on more than your material, but I think it's good to have in your back pocket. But I know a lot of comics don't like hosting shows because of that. I know a lot of my friends in LA, like I'm like the opposite. Whenever I hear someone say like, oh, I got to host this show at this club, I'm like, what's the problem? They're like, I got to be like, the host is different from the comedians. You have to get the crowd engaged and maybe even ask like, what's going on tonight? How's anybody, any birthday? You don't have to ask those questions, but you have to kind of engage with the crowd to get them excited for the show. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I don't mind doing that. That's fine with me. Those sometimes are, benefit me even more because I'll come up with funny stuff on the fly. And that'll help my like writing process later on. But
that's good though, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that's good to. I don't know if you know Russman Eve. He's a New York comedian, but I saw him in Chicago not that long ago, and it was pretty awesome because he actually didn't do any of his set at all. Mm-hmm. He got up there and someone like yelled something right away, and his entire time he was just busting everyone's balls, and it was the funniest stuff I've ever seen. He was so funny. He didn't do anything from his act at all. He just literally just picked out people and just started ripping on, but it was so good. It was so funny. Yeah, that's an amazing gift right there, man.
Yeah.
So I want to talk. I want to show the fan art in a little bit, but I had one more thing I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into that. Is just a little bit about your impressions, because it's such a unique gift there as well. And I was just wondering, how much do you still do that quite a bit in your acts, or is it anything new that you're developing along those lines?
I definitely do it in my acts because those jokes are like a saving grace. It's one of those things where sometimes when I first started doing, I didn't want to do them when I first started because I thought, I was like, that's hacky. I was like, I don't want to do impressions. but it's not that I didn't want to do them just to do them. I was just like, oh, I don't know why, but I'm not into it. But I'm genuinely like, because I do voice acting, And the impressions are not necessarily because I love doing character work. I'm more in the auditory portion of it, where I sit back and say, oh, I can hear this person when I try to do them, so I go with it. If there's a character that I do that I try to do and I know I can't hear it, like if I hear my voice more in it than I hear who I'm trying to be, I'm like, oh, you're not good enough at that one yet. You need to take your time and practice it. But yeah, no, I got into impressions just because as a kid, I think I always found like voice acting like fascinating, and I was always that kid in the corner of a party who was sitting back on like a karaoke machine doing the like movie trailer voice, just the whole "in a world where people go left and right." I just thought that was so much fun. I would always do that like at parties. I'd be like, someone needs to bring out dinner. It's taking too long. So
Yeah.
that would just make me, I don't know, laugh. And then as I got older, I was like, I could do like cartoons and all that stuff. And then I started thinking like, oh, do I know how to do like people's voices? And then I started getting into the whole like learning how, it's very much just an ear. You have to have an ear for it, I guess. Like if I could hear somebody and I could like try to mimic their voice, I would just try to. Some of them I can do really well. Some I can't do that well at all. But it's starting to work out for me because now I'm getting booked on friggin' animated series. And sometimes people are calling me to do voiceover stuff for like, I've done some voiceover stuff for movies for Denzel, which is funny. I've done like ADR on what's that movie? Roman J. Israel Esquire, and I also did ADR on Equalizer 2.
So they actually had you do some of his lines, like pickup lines or something?
Pretty much. The ones that they couldn't get him. They couldn't get him back in the booth.
No. I'm not saying those words.
Yeah, he's like, according to them, he's like, I already gave my performance. I'm done.
Yeah.
So for some like lines where maybe his head is turned the other way, or or he's coming through a phone, or if they just need like sounds.
That's crazy.
Of his voice. Yeah, I did that for Roman J. Israel, and they credited me. I feel like they left me uncredited on Equalizer 2, which kind of pissed me off. I was like, man, I want my name in the credits.
So that's crazy because you're obviously, not obviously, but probably not doing. You're not doing a funny take because it's for a movie. You have to
very much serious.
It's like, hey man, I got to make this as close as, that brings me to another quick little segment that I like to call Serious Questions with Jason Seiler. And so I'm just going to bring it right to this. Can you show us two versions if you want? A serious Denzel, like real Denzel, and then something maybe that you would do for a bit?
Yes, I can. But my thing is like, it's so funny because even I think it's one of those things where at the end of the day, I still don't think my Denzel is that good. But but to the common ear, I guess it's decent enough. But let's see. I'm trying to think. So like in my act, I do a thing where Denzel is on an episode of Scooby-Doo. So I wrote like a bit where he's kind of like, I said, imagine if Denzel's in an episode of Scooby-Doo, every episode would go the same. He'd just be like clapping and doing yeah, okay, all right, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Okay. Like, something like that. And then
that's awesome.
It's tremendous. Yeah, but then for the movie stuff, like they would just have me do like, if you've seen Book of Eli, that's the kind of Denzel acting they had, where it was, Denzel, his voice goes down here sometimes, and he talks like this. He's like, yeah, okay, darling, yeah, it's crazy. It's like very croaky.
Yeah.
And like in the voice of just like, it's not the Denzel that everyone knows from Training Day, where it's just the, okay, all right, okay, all right. Oh, you okay? Oh, you motherfuckers, huh?
Yeah.
I'm putting cases on all you bitches, That's the one. Everyone knows the okay. Everyone knows that one.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, my man. I try to do the one, and it's funny because his voice has changed even more now. His voice is a little more high pitched the older he's gotten, and he sounds kind of like this now. He talks a little bit high pitched. You know, if you talk to him in a conversation, he's just like, okay, yeah, that's right. I like movies. Yeah,
awesome.
I've been going for about the last 12 years, try to get myself an Oscar, and they won't give me one. They will not give me one. Not one. Like I don't know. Even in my head, I still don't think I sound that much like him. But
no, you do, man. It's good. I mean, I almost heard a little Jay-Z in there. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing. For his older voice, he sounds kind of like Jay-Z. That's a funny thing because I saw him in an interview. It was with Jamie Foxx for Grey Ciroc maybe, or Grey Goose or something, and he was talking to Jamie, and he was like all the way up here. He was talking like this. He was like, yeah, oh yeah, how much you want to get in a movie with me? Let's try. I think that's a good idea, And he was saying he was talking like that, but then he did he did his own version of Jay-Z where he was like, yeah, ha 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 ha, like it's like I don't know. There's a bunch of them, man. I can do a few of them fairly well, but I feel like if you're a voice actor, you can hear more. I'm just picky. I'm finicky about it. I think I can hit some of them right on the nose, and some of them I'm like giving you 85%. Some of them are 95, and then others are like 60, and I'm just making it as I go.
Do you have a Trump yet?
I can do that to what I've seen on TV, just the whole we love these people. They're great people. I don't think there's anything wrong with Melania. Keep her inside the box. Put her where she needs to be. I just do that. I just move my hands.
Exactly.
I just assume that's how he sounds.
You know that thing that he does where he's like, you don't even know. His voice will do that thing. I love that too.
You don't even know what is.
Believe me. You don't even. He's like the guy. It's so funny because I've heard so many impressions of him, and so many are like just all over the place, but there's still something there. It's like. I don't know. Yeah.
He's just the guy who mansplains to everyone about how much harder it is for him to be him. He's like, you don't even know how hard it is to be the president. President is such a difficult position. You wouldn't understand it. You have a little Peabody brain. Like I feel like
he always does a thing too where he goes, believe me. Melania. Yeah, it's like I saw a meme recently that was really funny. It wasn't a meme, it was like a little video someone put together, and it's basically just him telling like Trump knows this. Trump, he's always like got the P. Trump. Yeah, Trump knows this. Trump knows this. Trump knows I know everything about this, and it's just great because it's all like real, like all real things he's saying, but it's all clumped together in one video. It was just it was tremendous. Okay,
it was tremendous. That's so funny.
And that was Serious Questions with Jason Zeiler. Cool. And I just realized before I show you the artwork, there was one fan question. I have an audio for you, so I'm going to play that for you real quick. This is from Sam King Davis.
Hey JD, this is Sam King Davis coming to you from Prague. I'm wondering if, aside from hopefully winning this drawing challenge and having you shout me out on your Instagram page, if there's any advice you could give us for increasing social media presence. I primarily use Instagram, but I've started a YouTube channel as well. So yeah, thanks for your advice ahead of time, and thanks Jason for putting this together.
Hey, okay. That was nice. That was a good question. Building your social media, man. I get sick thinking about it. And I'll just kidding. just the internet, man. It's only because I've been doing it I've been doing it for like friggin' 10 years. I started my YouTube channel in 2010. I started one before that in 2008. So could be almost 12 years technically, but I don't think I use that one anymore. But building your platforms, I think the main thing is like if you're just starting out, and you gotta go to the people that you know. You gotta reach out to family, friends, send them your content. If it's music, if it's videos, if it's art, you just say, hey, just wanted to share this with you. If you have this platform, it'd be great if you follow me and maybe show this to a friend. And I would say, as you're starting to grow, it's always, I think, don't try to spam anybody with your content. That's always looked down upon. But you can go out of your way and do what I believe the term is cold outreach, where you just, maybe there's someone who you think would appreciate the content that you create. So you send them an email, send them a DM if you can DM them, send them maybe comment on their page, but don't comment while promoting your own stuff. Just say, hey, love your stuff. Would be great if you check mine out some days. I think you'd like it. That's the type of stuff that I did when I first started. And I remember when I really got it going, I was creating videos on YouTube and I was making sketches, which is the funny thing. A lot of people don't know that I originally started with sketch videos because I was like into acting and sketch and all that stuff. Like I started getting into gaming like 4 years later. But one of my videos was like a parody of some rap video that Drake made or something. And I was following a bunch of YouTubers at the time back in like 2010, 2011, who I was like starting to actually enjoy on the content creator side. And I remember I tweeted I can't remember who, but I tweeted at them with this video and said, hey, love your stuff. Maybe I said, here's a video that I made. Check it out. Maybe it's something that you would resonate with. And lo and behold, they DM'd me and said, hey, that was pretty cool, man. If I ever need anybody to come act in a skit, I'll hit you up. And I was like, cool. That's awesome. And then I connected with that person. And then from there, I just started to snowball into meeting more and more people on the content creator side and whatnot. I think I only had about maybe I probably had like 2,500 subscribers on YouTube. And then I know that like that person snowballed into me and him introducing me into like 2 or 3 other people who I knew from the internet. And then one of them enjoyed me enough to invite me to a party where like a bunch of them were all hanging out. And it was weird because like 2010 to like 2012, I was hanging out with like the top upper echelon of YouTube at the time. I think it was like, Freddie Wong's was around, I believe, at this party. My buddy Daystorm, Alpha Cat, Olga K, Jess Lazama, Shane Dawson. I was just meeting all these like random people and then being asked to be a part of some of their skits and all that stuff. And also like I think you can always use the like asset / promotional tool. Like what is it that you could offer this person in exchange for, just networking and building a relationship? Because that is the industry. The industry is just getting to know each other. Like if you want to be successful, it's just get to know, just not, don't force it down anyone's throat, but try to meet as many people as you can in every avenue of life that like, even if they don't have it, even if you guys can't work on anything together, it always benefits you to just meet people and get to know them better. Like what's that cliche catchphrase? Network is net worth. Yeah, that's it. It's honestly, a majority of the stuff that I've done up until now is because people either knew me personally and offered me a job, or they saw some video of mine on the internet and was like, yo, that was funny. Would you be willing to do something with me? And like, I want to say it's the rarity of how many jobs I've personally booked on my own is like, it's probably I could probably count them all on my fingers. I've probably done over like 50 to 100 jobs or whatever types of jobs all across, not just acting. But the ones that I like had to go in, audition, do the callback, get the call that I'm being put on hold, and then finally book the job. I feel like that's only happened to me like 6 times. And then everything else is like a friend of a friend was looking for a guy and they thought of me, or a friend of or someone was like, hey, we need someone who does voices, or we need somebody who does impressions, or can you host? Can you act? Can you, So I want to say that's my personal, like if there was like something that I'm really good at, I want to say it's networking. Because I feel like whenever people follow me online and I post stuff about who I either know or have worked with on projects, it's it's a very wide spectrum. Yeah. It'll be like, oh, you were on Rogan's podcast? That's cool. And then randomly it's like, why are you writing on Chance the Rapper's album? And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. I just fall into these random circles of people. And to me, that's the best part of, not the best part of, it's just being a part of every aspect of entertainment. You don't have to stay in just one box and be one thing. You can not that you need to be everything. You can just dabble in all of it. Why not? Hey, you never know what avenue could bring your success. And that's the one thing. You never know what you're like. I know everyone knows what they want to be, but you never know what you will become on the way there. That's like a thing. So yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, the cold outreach thing I think is very positive, as long as you're, formal in your emails or your DMs or whatever it is that you do. And also being able to offer something to the person that maybe you want to work with. Maybe you're like, hey, I've seen your stuff. I see that you're really busy. If you ever need an editor, I can help. If you ever need someone to assist, like if you're working in film, or at least you could say if it's like a online creator or even an actor or producer, you just tell them, hey, I know how to run cameras, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. It's one of those things where it's, that's just the business. It's like, not that you have to offer up something, but I mean, to build a personal relationship, you can't just build it off of, hey, I like you, be my friend. You have to, you have to introduce yourself with That's something funny. Yeah, I mean, it's just true, because sometimes I get like, people will reach out to me and they'll ask for a shout out, and I'm like, well, what am I shouting out though? Like, if I go and then I do because sometimes I will do the due diligence of looking through the people's pages that say to shout me out. I'm like, you got nothing here, there's nothing on your page. Why would I shout you out? There's nothing to shout out. You need to have like a body of work.
That's so weird to me though, like people really write people and say, hey, can you give me a shout out?
Yeah,
I've never.
I mean, just sometimes they just want to hear their name from you. It's like similar to kind of like an autograph, like I guess, kind of, sort of, maybe not. It's just acknowledgement at that point. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not probably going to shout you out, but I'll reply to your email and just say hi. Hopefully that's enough for you.
So interesting. I never thought. Yeah.
Because sometimes I get those. Sometimes I'll get people saying, hey man, shout me out. And I'm thinking like, shout outs in my head are like, oh, you want like a boost on your platform so that people will get to know you. And I'll sit back, I'll consider it, I'll look at what you're doing, and then I'll be like, wait, you're not doing anything. I can't. There's no reason to shout out people like that, and who think that it's as simple as that. I mean, that's kind of like, I don't know. It's just not the mentality to go with to further a career. But some people they're not even considering the career. Sometimes they just want to hear you say their name. That's the thing. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I would say that's those are my suggestions on building up platforms. And also just, hey, I believe the guy said that he was on Instagram mainly and he just opened up a YouTube channel. I would say not that I'm like a super hardcore Gary Vee fan, but I do believe that he is somewhat right about when it comes to posting content. I post my stuff everywhere now. I used to only be specifically cater to YouTube because that's where I wanted to grow. But nowadays I'm just like, look, man, if there's an upload button, I'm hitting it on all of them. I don't care, because you never know who will see it, and you'll also never know what the reach is. Because like if you do an art piece, or you have a skit, or you have a stand-up clip of yourself being entertaining, and you post it on one platform and it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, try it on the next one. Try it on the next one after that. Try it on the third, then the fourth, and the fifth. I'm not saying you need to put it on like 20 platforms. I think the ones that I personally use that are like my top 5 are like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And I want to say that's it. I don't know. I don't have a Reddit page. I have a Reddit account, but I don't know how to use Reddit. I wish I did. I'm not good at it. I need to learn.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what I do. I did. I only recently started Twitter. Like I started it years ago and thought it was stupid and stopped. Mm-hmm. And then I only recently started maybe not even 7-8 months ago maybe. And I don't know. I don't really get much out of the Twitter stuff. I kind of just, I don't know. It's just, I don't seem to get any reactions from anything ever. So I mostly just like Instagram and just with my YouTube, I've only recently started that. when I decided to do this project. So, but yeah, I find Instagram to be pretty good as far as like connecting and it's cool too with artists because you get to, people get to share each other's work and that sort of a thing. But speaking of that, bam, let's look at some fan art, man. So I'm going to share the screen with you. Let me know if you see this.
All right.
And that was awesome advice, by the way.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
And,
Oh,
actually,
me. Oh my God. Oh, I want all of these. These are so funny. What the hell?
I'll send them to you.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, this first one is done by Jonathan Groot.
That's dope. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think this one's color pencil too.
I look like Marlon Wayans in this one. That's so funny.
And this one is, you know what? Listen, I'm not even. No offense.
I like this one,
but I cannot say this person's name. I don't know if you can see up in the corner there. Do you see that name?
Which corner, right or left?
Up on the top. I don't know if you can see my entire screen where it says the name. Can you see that?
I see. Wait, is it right there near photos? It says photos -2.
Yeah, and then
I see Quovengene or something.
Quovensene.
I don't think the rest. Oh, maybe that is the rest of her name. I thought that was just like.
No, that's a full-on name.
Okay, so that's Quovenzene Aijafala Jokul. It could be sound like a Nigerian name or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you're from. Quovenjan.
Yeah.
Quovenjan. I hope we got your name right. If we're butchering it, then whoops.
Yeah. No, I was trying to say it before, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I wrote him back, and I said, hey, could you help me like how do I pronounce your name? And they wrote back this other thing that was even crazier.
Then they did the phonetics for you.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, there's no way.
Let's just go with Q on this one. Q.
Yeah, awesome job.
This is awesome. Oh man.
One Piece. It's a good one. This is
that's fire. These are so tight.
This is by Juan Carlos Melo.
Oh, this is so sick. I love these. These are so cool. Oh, my hair is way too long. I love it. I need to get a haircut in real life. That's funny. They must have went to my page to see some photos too.
Oh yeah, probably. This one it looks like it's having a hard time loading. There we go.
There we go. Hey. I love it. Oh my God. It looked like a Salvador Dali version of my face, but it's funny. Oh, that's so well done.
This one's by Julio Cesar Carvalho, by the way.
That's fire. Dang. Yeah. I love these.
That's funny.
These are great. Hey. Oh, this is fire. What the fuck?
This is by John Williams. Or Jason Williams. Jason Williams, sorry.
Dope. Oh my gosh, this is so dope. They got the YouTube, they got confetti, they got Laser Wolf. Hey, that's fire. I love this. I love this.
So cool.
Nice.
This is by Laurent Grassat.
Oh wow, these are dope, man.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll email them to you so you have.
I appreciate it. I got to shout all these people out. I got to put these on my IG story or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
These are fire.
That's very funny. This is by Terry Beveridge.
Oh, this is cool. Thank you, Terry. Terry Beveridge. That's a cool last name, Beveridge.
Yeah, Beveridge.
Nice.
It's cool. This is by Jared Hobson.
Hey, what the? They're so well done. As an artist, I'm like so hyped. Like like the old me who used to draw all the time is like, wow, JD, you definitely could have been way better at the art you were doing. This is so clean. Oh, this is tight. Thank you so much, Jared. Right, Jared Hobson.
Yep, Jared Hobson. Yep.
Oh, these are fire.
Yeah. And this one is by Elise.
Hey, nice.
Oh, there's a name on there. Eckhart, maybe? Elise Eckhart. I don't know.
Elise, thank you so much. This is cool.
Yeah, I think this was a color pencil as well.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Here's another. This one is by Miley.
These are cool. I love that they all went and did like legit artwork. Like these are they.
That's my kind of fans, man. That's what they do.
Man, that's sick. That's
We're all
sick.
about the quality. We're all about.
I mean that quality. These are clean, dude.
Yeah, and the fun thing about this is I never know what's gonna show up. You know, sometimes it's crazy. You know.
That's great.
Oh, hey.
Oh, nice. Wow, look at that.
This
Juan
is by
Pablo.
Juan Pablo
Espinoza. Yo, these are so dope. I love it.
This is like a
Oh
game.
my gosh, what the fudge? That's
like-
so sick.
Akos Molnar, something like that.
Oh man. I love it. That's so me too. Look at me. Oh, I look crazy. This
Yeah.
is great.
You have to show these to your wife.
Oh, she's gonna flip. She's gonna be like, oh, you have to shout out all of them, every single one. I will. Dang, these are tight.
This one's pretty cool too.
Hey,
This is Sam King Davis. This is the guy that had the question.
Oh, shout out to Sam King, man. Yo, this is so cool. The art is so fire. I'm so. It's one of those things where I'm like excited because like it's one of those things where I definitely like pivoted career wise because this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I still have such a fond respect for it, and that's why I follow like I follow a lot of art accounts. Like I follow people who have like 500 followers, just because I'll come across their art and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's worth a follow. Just because I like to see really well done art in my feed, and I'll comment on people's pages. I'll be like, yo, this is amazing, love your art, and like people will be like, what the hell, why are you following me? And I'm like, I don't think I'm that big a deal, but I'm just, I appreciate it. I'm like, these are sick.
That's good, man.
Dang.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
It's by Andy Ellis.
Andy Ellis, this is dope. I love it. That's great.
And this is Wanderly Fernandez.
Nice. Wanderly. That's a cool name.
Yeah. I like it. Every time this artist has submitted a few times, and every time I just get so happy when I get to say Wanderly Fernandez. Wanderly Fernandez.
Man.
It's awesome.
Super cool.
And this is a cool
Hey.
style. This is by
I like
Andrew Haviland.
Andrew Haviland. Wow, this is nice. Yeah. Nice and like contemporary. I don't even know what this style is called. It's kind of like Pablo Picasso.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You got those real kind of seductive eyes.
I like it. I like it.
It's funny. And this one's pretty slick too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is by Christopher
because
Hirschman.
it looks like it looks like the photo version, but it's art. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's fire. They just went through my Instagram. They were like, nah, I'm gonna choose my own photo.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, these are fire.
Yeah, the work on the shirt is pretty awesome too.
I mean, yeah, like if that's not just copied over, that looks crazy that they did all that work. What the heck? That's clean.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Very cool.
This one's by Adita Bahauser. This one I think this guy nailed you.
That's me, that neck, boy. I got a long ass neck. looking like a giraffe. Oh man, that's hilarious.
The thing that I like about this one is because when it comes to caricature stuff, I'm all about spot on. Like you know what I mean? Like, and this guy got the just the little nuances in your mouth.
Yeah,
and when you like just little things with the curve of your bottom lip and just your eyes and stuff. When I opened this one, I was like, yeah, goddamn, dude, you nailed it. This is pretty good. Yeah,
it's crazy because it's like it's so contorted and changed, but I'm staring at it and I see me anyway.
That's awesome. That's what's fun about it, man. I love it when you take it to that level.
This is inspiring me to get back into art, man. I got to get back now. There we go.
Well,
hey,
I'll hit some open mics, and you hit some.
I'll
pads
start
of paper.
drawing.
This one's by Ryan Biddle.
This is cool. I love
That's
it.
awesome. And this one is by TJ Veith.
Nice.
Yeah. That's cool.
I like it. The detail's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Cool. And that's actually the last one.
Wow.
So let's flip this back. And
That was awesome.
are we back? Okay, cool. That's awesome, man.
Dang, that was tight. Oh,
so
I'm
yeah.
so excited.
So like I said, I'll email this to you. Yeah, man. So I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and chat, man. It's been really, I mean, for me personally, it's really cool. I really, like I said, I'm a huge fan of impressions and stand-up comedy, and of course acting and that kind of. I'm not into doing acting, but I mean, huge respect for all the things that you do. It's just awesome. So I really appreciate you talking with me especially about the comedy stuff, because I feel like you know, I got a little coaching, a little bit, a little direction, a little. I mean, no, seriously though, I feel like, wow, man, I feel inspired now to be like, okay, you know, just fucking go and do it, say your shit, and don't worry about it. And just the main thing is I got to go do it. So
Yeah, man.
I'll let you know when I do. I'll send you a message like, man, I did it. I got booed off the stage.
Or you got a standing ovation, dog. Come on now. The main thing, I think this is how I go about anything that I'm trying to pursue in life. And I told this to my wife because we have motivational talks. The moment you feel like you need the moment you start second guessing whatever it is you want to do is the moment you need to keep going forward. That's how I see it.
Yeah,
like if you're looking at your writing and you're like, this is stop, like immediately, like flip it around and don't even just go lean into it more. And if you don't want to do stand up, but then, you know, or if you want to do stand up, but you're like, this, and you keep thinking about all the outcomes, the moment you start thinking about anything but getting on the stage, just go get it over with. That's how I get through like very awkward, depressing parts of life, or just moving on to the next stages. Like, let's say you go through something that was really embarrassing. All I can think about in my head is like, this sucks. I hate how I feel. But hey, something worse is going to happen soon. So eventually I'm not going to feel it for this one, you know? Or the same with like deadlines. I hate deadlines with a T, or, you know, to a fault, but it's just one of those things where you know for a fact that at a certain point it'll be over. So, yeah, you know, if you know you have a project due 2 months from now and every day for the 2 months you're dreading it, just remember that the day after it's due, either you did it or you didn't do it and you're over it now. It's like, hey, you got to just keep moving now. So let's just, you know, because that's awesome. Yeah, I do that all the time. I'll sit back and I'll be like, I got to submit this email, or I got to submit this audition tape and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, but I don't want to do it. And then I'm like, you just get it over with, because by the time it's the day after, you're gonna have done it anyway. So just get it out of the way early, or whatever. Dread yourself to the last minute. I'm really good at doing last minute stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna do it, man. I'm excited about doing it. I'm actually there's a really cool art convention that I'm going to in Pasadena in September. And I'm there like doing a little talk and demo and on a panel and that sort of a thing. But I think I heard that the Ice House is in Pasadena. So I was checking that out.
Oh yeah, man.
And then I'm staying an extra day so I can hit the Kill Tony show on the following Monday, because I'll be in Burbank for like a day. So I'm gonna try to do, but I mean, I'm not gonna try to do. I mean, I know I've heard like the open mic thing there is insane. Like there's like they only pick like 15 people out of 200 or something like that.
I've done the Kill. I haven't done the Kill Tony show, but I did the signups just to do it. But my thing is, I'm not doing it because I want to do my jokes on Kill Tony. I'm doing it because I'm like, I just want to get up.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I forgot that they record it and put it on their podcast. I was kind of glad I didn't get up, because I was like, because at that point I was like, these jokes are like very precious to me. I don't want to get rid of them.
You know? Yeah, that makes sense, man. Yeah, because once
But,
that's out there, then it's like.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I love that show. I know Tony really well. I know Hinchcliffe. My buddy Jeremiah Watkins is on there, and I love Jeremiah and Red Band. Those are my guys. So yeah, no, I mean,
Jeremiah's a cool dude, man. He's a cool guy.
Oh yeah, love Jeremiah, and he's got a great podcast too. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
so
man.
Shout out to Jeremiah. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, you have anything that you want to like let people know about or anything before we end this shindig?
Man, I don't know. You guys can follow me on the socials. I'm usually there under JD Witherspoon on most platforms. I think my gaming content is under Run JD Run. I may or may not rebrand that in the future. I don't think I will, just because I have a lot of people who are into it now. So, but yeah, no, I don't have any particular shows coming up or anything in LA. Nope. I don't have anything specific coming up anytime soon. But be on the lookout for me, because I'm one of those people that when you least expect it, I just end up popping into the shot. That's where I'm at. So
that's awesome, man. Thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Shout out to JD Witherspoon. Yeah, I just learned about this shout out thing. But yeah, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I'm going to send you the artwork and everything. And I look forward to seeing what you do next too, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Cool, man. High five.
Bow. Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool, dude.